Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron, and after an entire week of covering it, E3 2018 is finally over. I had a blast covering every single one of the conferences. I'm so glad that you guys supported every single one of those videos. And also, a big shout out to every single person who joined us on Twitch. This was our first year actually live streaming the conferences and actually talking with the chat about what they were showing off. You guys seen my live reactions to it. It was a ton of fun. It was something brand new, and I always love trying something new. So again, thank you guys for supporting it. But I wanted to close out E3 2018 with one big video that kind of gave you all my thoughts on the conference itself. So I was thinking of doing a video in which I ranked every single one of the press conferences, but then I realized there is no tension to that because almost everyone agrees that Microsoft won. A couple people say that Nintendo did. There's a few people throwing Sony or Bethesda in there. But when it comes to the loser, yeah, everyone is unanimous on that. There is no tension on who had the worst show of 2018. And in all honesty, I don't really feel like talking about EA anymore. It's time that we banish those guys to the Phantom Zone for a little bit. So instead, what we're going to do to close out our coverage is I'm going to give you my top 10 most anticipated games that were shown off at E3. Now, I am placing a little restriction on myself. These have to be games that they showed off actual gameplay of. It can't just be an announcement trailer, and it has to be something that I can definitely look at and say, that is totally gameplay. So even though I am totally looking forward to Sea of Solitude, that game looks very creative and imaginative, I'm not quite sure what in there from what we saw was actual gameplay and what was a cinema in there. So yeah, that doesn't count. And even though I am incredibly excited for a new Elder Scrolls and for a new Doom game, all we got was just the announcement that they're happening. So those games aren't making it onto the list. Sorry, but I had to come up with some kind of a rule to limit the number of games I could put on here simply because this was a damn good E3. There was a lot of stuff here that really got me excited, especially a lot of things that I wasn't expecting to get excited for. Games like The Division or the new Assassin's Creed, games that I never really get excited for, they actually looked really damn good this year. That being said, yeah, neither of those games are in this list, because it was just that good of a year for E3. Even though I am excited for them, I had 10 other games that hyped me up even more because there were just that many games shown off this year. And so many of these games are going to appeal to so many different people, which I feel is a good time for me to remind you guys, this is just my personal list. Everybody out there is going to have their own unique top 10 list of games that they're looking forward to that were shown off this year. Let me know yours down in the comments down below or on Twitter and Twitch at Professor ThorgE, because no matter who you are, there was something shown off this year at E3 that's going to get everybody excited. But alright, no more stalling, on to my number 10 game, Spider-Man. Now, I know a lot of you are very confused at this being at the number 10 spot because you guys know me and you know I am a huge fan of Spider-Man, and this game looks amazing. It looks like so many of the things that I've been wanting to see in a Spider-Man game for the longest time. It looks like they're taking the stuff that worked in the previous Spider-Man games, like the open world aspect and the web swinging and how good that felt, and really expanding it. And they're also combining some of the stuff from the Arkham games. I know a lot of people are looking at it and saying, oh, it looks like they're just ripping off the Arkham combat, but honestly, that's not what it looks like to me. Yes, Spider-Man has a warning sense. I got news for you. Batman didn't invent that. That was kind of Spidey's thing, so it's good to see Spidey using that. But a lot of the actual combat that I saw, it's taking advantage of Spidey's super strength, his speed, his super reflexes, his web swinging abilities. I love seeing Spidey being able to grab onto stuff and then lift up in the air with his web and swing it across the room to hit someone. And the redesign of the villains actually look pretty darn cool. I like that you're bringing in the Sinister Six in here, and I'm digging all of the supporting characters that we've seen so far. There are so many things in this game that have me really excited. So why is it at number 10, especially for me, a giant Spider-Man fan? Honestly, because there is nothing that I could have seen from this game this year that would have gotten me more excited for this game. We've been hearing about this for the past 2 years straight. This made the third E3 that we've seen this at. And yeah, it's coming out in just a few months. I'm ready. I'm here. My hype does not go any higher than it is right now. I'm all prepared for this game. So yeah, I can't really come in here and put it any higher just simply because nothing that I saw this year really got me more excited. All the other things that are above this on the list are the things at E3 this year that really got me hyped, that really got me talking. I have no need to talk about Spider-Man this year, because I've already said everything I've wanted to say, and at this point, yeah man, just put it out. I have no need to wait for this game anymore. And with that logic in mind, at number 9, Kingdom Hearts 3. Again, just like with Spider-Man, I've been looking forward to this game for a long time, except that unlike Spider-Man, I've been looking forward to this game for probably over a decade at this point. We've all been sitting here holding our breath, but just like Spider-Man, yeah, I've been seeing stuff for this for years. We've been getting teased about this for years. I'm kind of done being teased. I'm kind of done waiting. That's one of the reasons why it's not any higher on my list this year, is because this isn't just a list of the games that I'm excited for. This is a list of the games that E3 got me excited for. And Kingdom Hearts, man, I'm just ready. I'm just ready for it to come out. We know it's coming out in January. I can wait just a little bit longer for it. But yeah, man, this year was just kind of them coming in here and reminding us, hey guys, it's still coming. But they did at least show off some new stuff. We did get to see some of the new worlds that you're going to. We know we're going to the Frozen world now. We know that we're going to the Pirates of the Caribbean world now, and we know that that's actually going to look amazing. That actually looks like they could turn that into its own game in and of itself. Having your ships battle each other, jumping from one ship to the other. I actually think that the redesigns of all the characters in the Pirates of the Caribbean world actually look fantastic. In all honesty, Kingdom Hearts 3 probably wouldn't have actually made it onto this list if I had just seen that first trailer shown off at the Microsoft conference, but the second trailer they showed off? Oh my goodness, that one actually really got me talking, so that's why it's able to make it onto the list. But again, yeah man, I've been talking about this for years. I don't have anything left to say about it. Now, moving on to something very unexpected that I can guarantee you is probably not on anybody else's list. At number 8, Overcooked 2. I love the first Overcooked. It's one of the most fun and destructive party games you will ever play. If you've ever wanted to ruin your relationship with your significant other or your closest friends, play Overcooked, because it is just nothing but you guys yelling at each other for an entire match, but it's really fun. Like, it's not one of those where feelings are going to get hurt. As soon as the game is over with, everybody has a really good laugh about how crazy and insane that got. And I have been waiting to see more of this. And Overcooked 2 was announced at E3 this year, and it looks even crazier. You're going to have to cook food in hot air balloons. You're going to have to cook food for zombies. Heck, they even have Evil Dead puns in this game. It's like they made this sequel just for me. Next up at number 7 was a game that I was not expecting to be excited for many reasons, but holy cow, E3 this year turned all of that around. Jump Force. Now, you might be thinking, why wouldn't you be excited for this game? We know that you're a big manga fan, and this is taking all the shonen heroes and bringing them together for one big brawl. The reason why I would not be excited for something like that is because we've seen that before. They've made several jump games before, and I've never really liked any of them before. Partly because, yeah, I just don't really like arena combat. I don't like fighting games where you're just running around in a giant open area. Partly because it takes freaking forever for you guys to finish each other off. And I'll admit, I still kind of have that concern for this game. I was watching some gameplay footage that people recorded from the show floor, and there was a 4-minute long match where there still wasn't a winner by the end of it. Their life bars still had something there after 4 freaking minutes. Yeah, man, I do still kind of have that concern about this. However, this does not look like any of the previous jump games. This almost looks like they're trying to take these characters and put them in the real world. In that trailer we got these heroes in Times Square, and I've looked at that stage. That's a damn good replica of Times Square, and there's something about seeing the Shonen Jump heroes in Times Square being rendered in far more realistic graphics that actually, for some reason that I can't put into words, has me excited. Seeing Luffy standing on the American flag and then swinging through the city like Spider-Man, I don't know why that made me instantly love this game, but I did. So it looked awesome, and I was enjoying what we saw in that trailer, but then we got the tease at the end of the trailer, in which we see Light Yagami pop up. Yeah, the protagonist from Death Note? How in God's name is he going to fit into a fighting game? I have no idea what to expect from this game now, but I also have no idea what to expect from the roster. If you can get Light Yagami into this game, it almost feels like everyone is on the table now. So I'm really excited to see what will come from that. But again, we didn't see a lot of gameplay footage in that trailer that they showed off, so I wasn't really thinking about putting it on the list. They didn't show me enough footage for me to qualify it. But then, as I said, on the showroom floor, people were recording all kinds of footage of this game, and this thing looks incredible. Yes, I will admit, it's a little bit choppy. I know some of the people who saw it on the showroom floor described the frame rate as being, oh, what's the word? Ass. I believe that was the exact quote that many people were saying about the frame rate. But again, this is a game in development. They can fix that. But what we did see in terms of like the giant super moves everyone was pulling off, the stage transitions where you're kicking people across mountains, it looks amazing. It looks better than so many other games that tried to do the exact same thing, like say Injustice. And I love the super moves and stage transitions in Injustice. This game really looks like it is just pulling out all the stops for this installment, which is another reason why I never really enjoyed any of the previous shonen fighting games. It always kind of felt like they were made on a shoestring budget. It kind of felt like they were like, yeah, people are just gonna buy this because they like the characters. We don't have to try that hard. This looks like after games like Dragon Ball FighterZ came out, they actually stopped and thought, wait, that sold incredibly well. And they did try. What if, I don't know, we actually took this concept and really tried with it? So yes, I'm incredibly excited for this game. I am still kind of worried that it's an arena fighter, which is just a form of fighting games that I don't really enjoy all that much. But honestly, that's really the only complaint that I have at this point. Everything else I saw from this game looks jaw-droppingly impressive. Next up at number 6, We Happy Few. Now, again, like Spider-Man or Kingdom Hearts, this is a game we've been hearing about forever, and it is finally coming out fairly soon. So you might be wondering why this got so much higher on the list than those other two ones. It's because, as I said, with Spider-Man and Kingdom Hearts 3, I didn't have a lot of new things to talk about this year. E3 didn't give me that much new stuff to be hyped about. There wasn't that much from what we saw in these games that had me running around going, I gotta talk to people about these games. But with We Happy Few, I feel like for years we'd just been seeing the same stuff over and over and over with it. And honestly, I had kind of even forgotten that this game was coming out because it had just been taking so long and we hadn't been getting anything new to talk about with it. This year they came in here and not only reminded us that it was coming out, they were able to get me excited all over again. They were able to relight that spark. They showed off so much new stuff from this game. So many new characters, so many new bits of the story and where that might end up going. It feels like this game is going to finally scratch that BioShock itch that I have had for years. Next up at number 5 is Fallout 76. Now, I know this is kind of a controversial choice, simply because I know a lot of the older Fallout fans are really mad at this game because it's going to be online only. And I can understand that. I don't really play a lot of online games. I prefer the single player experience myself. However, this game showed me so much that just made me go, you know what, even if it's online only, I'll learn how to play an online game. I don't care. This looks so impressive. The fact that the world is going to be so incredibly large, there's going to be so many things in there that you can do. And also, I grew up in the South, and I was kind of a big sci-fi monster fan. So I remember researching a lot of the weird Southern folklore cryptids when I was a kid. The fact that the monsters that you're fighting in this game are weird mutated versions of those old Southern folklore cryptids has me going, why don't they just make this a game? Why isn't this its own game? I would totally buy a game that is nothing but just hunting these cryptids. I don't even need all the other stuff. But this game is coming in here and going, hey, you get to do that in this game, and there's a ton of other stuff that you can do. It really feels like they just went balls to the wall crazy with this new Fallout game, and the cherry on top of it all was when they said, oh yeah, there's just old nuclear bases around this world. You can go find them, and if you find parts of the code and then team up with other people who have parts of the code, you can just launch a strike. You can just go ahead and just destroy whoever you want on the map. That sounds so bizarre that I'm sure there are many problems with that idea from a gameplay perspective. I'm sure there's many things about that I could critique, but it's so bananas that I can't. My brain just refuses to find problems with that. So yes, for the first time in a long time, I actually really want to pick up a Fallout game. Next at number 4, Devil May Cry 5. Now, I almost didn't put this on here because we only got really brief glances of the gameplay, but those brief glances look so good. It reminded me of all the stuff that I love about Devil May Cry combat, even if I kind of suck at Devil May Cry combat. It's one of those weird love-hate relationships where I'm not very good at these games, but I have a blast playing them nonetheless. So when I saw what little combat we did get in the game, it really impressed me, and it actually did have me want to see more of it. But the thing that I saw in the trailer that got me even more excited than that, the main thing that I had realized I had been missing from the Devil May Cry franchise, was the attitude. It was the tone. I'll admit, I don't have the big problems with DMC that a lot of people do. Don't get me wrong, I do still have some problems with it, like the fact that they ended the previous franchise right at the moment in which Dante decided to pass the franchise off to a new character. They just said, yeah, screw all that stuff. We're just going to go on to this whole reboot thing of Dante. But as I was watching this trailer, and as I realized, oh my god, it is the old Devil May Cry, and that's Nero. We're going to continue the story. That whole idea of passing the franchise off to someone else, they're actually going to stick with that. Kudos to them. I mean, Nero does look a little bit odd now, I will say that. But I mean, hey, he's back. That's actually an awesome thing that they are going to continue this story the way that they left it off. But the thing that really sold me was the tone. As I just saw the absolute madness that was going on the screen, the pure craziness of this van just charging through these bug demons, and then you doing flips around it while it's in the air, while your driver catches a cigarette in her mouth, and your driver is some rockabilly nerd scientist. Oh my goodness, just the level of weirdness to this made me look over at DMC and go, that's why I didn't really care for you. That was my big problem. You were trying to be too serious in DMC. You were trying to come in here and go, oh, all the goofiness of the previous Devil May Cry series? Yeah, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to show you how serious this franchise can be. And it looks like this trailer came in here and just went, we're going to remind you of what Devil May Cry was. It was crazy. It was goofy, and we were proud of that. The first Devil May Cry game starts with your main character fighting people while he's eating pizza. Yeah, man, the game's always kind of had a goofy yet awesome tone to them. This trailer nailed that. After watching this trailer, I cannot wait to jump right back into the world of Devil May Cry. Next up at number 3, Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I ended up getting hooked on the Fire Emblem franchise when it moved over to the 3DS, and I've been loving every single one of the games that I played on that system. But I always stopped and thought, what if this was on a better system? What if this wasn't on just this little tiny handheld, but I could actually play it on my big TV? What would that look like? Fire Emblem 3 Houses came in here and said, this is exactly what that would look like. And it's gorgeous. When this trailer showed our characters on the little tiny map moving around, I thought, okay, that's Fire Emblem, that's what it looks like. Let's see what it looks like when they actually engage in combat, because in the 3DS games, when you engage in combat, it's one-on-one battle. The fact that in this game, when that camera zooms in on your characters on the battlefield, it reveals it's not one-on-one. You're all leading your own independent armies, and every member of your army has like their own unique attack. So you'll be leading an army of archers, you'll be leading an army of Pegasus Knights, you'll be leading an army of foot soldiers. Oh my god, it looked fantastic. It looked like what I had kind of been wanting from a Fire Emblem game. It also kind of looked appropriate for a Fire Emblem game because, yeah, you're leading these kingdoms. Shouldn't you have a giant army at your beck and call? So I will admit we didn't see a whole lot from this trailer. It was pretty much just there to say, hey, a new Fire Emblem game is coming and now it's going to be for the Switch. But as I said, I freaking love the Fire Emblem games. And that's really all I needed. I had no idea a new Fire Emblem game was coming. I didn't think it was going to be on the Switch. I'm incredibly excited about both those pieces of information. Now, for my top 2, this was such a hard choice because I am a massive fan of both these franchises, and both of the announcements that were made at E3 this year about these franchises blew my mind. But it really just came down to the fact that one of these announcements just gave me so much more information and so many more things to get hyped about. So at number 2, Resident Evil 2 The Remake. I had been waiting on this because even though I am a huge fan of Resident Evil, Resident Evil 2 is one of the few installments in that franchise I never finished because I freaking hate tank controls. I was able to push myself through the first game, just barely, but I couldn't make it through the second game. The tank controls were too frustrating. So, ever since Resident Evil 4 came in here and showed us this is how a Resident Evil game should play, this is how survival horror games should be played, we have completely reinvigorated this entire franchise. I have been waiting for someone to give Resident Evil 2 the same treatment that they gave Resident Evil 1. And it looks like they're not just giving it the same treatment, they're going above and beyond. This is a remake that is on the same level as, say, the recent Crash Bandicoot trilogy or Shadow of the Colossus. Hell, it's even further than that, because this looks like it is completely reinventing this game from the ground up. But the thing that has me the most excited about is that it's Resident Evil continuing to be a horror game. For the longest time, Resident Evil had just completely abandoned the idea of being a horror franchise to try and be an action franchise, which, don't get me wrong, they had a fine action game in there, and then a really crappy action game in there. But man, it just doesn't feel like Resident Evil if it's not scary. And this trailer looked horrifying. Every single thing that we saw in this announcement trailer and the second trailer that they put up on YouTube at the exact same time, all the gameplay that I saw in there looked bone-chilling. I was terrified by that scene in which you saw the liquor off in the distance just dragging someone away, or the lighting on when you're walking up to the police department. Oh my goodness, that was better lighting than we get in most horror movies. This is some high-level horror experience that they are creating for us, and I know that because I've spent the entire week looking at other people online playing the demo that they let people play at E3, and wow, it is just one scare after another down every single hallway. It feels so good for Resident Evil to be leaning hard back into the horror franchise. I was worried that with Resident Evil 7 that would be like a one-time thing. We would get one horror game in here, and then nope, it would be back to the action stuff. Resident Evil 2 the remake looks like they are leaning so hard back into horror. Between this, Devil May Cry 5, Resident Evil 7 last year, Monster Hunter earlier this year, and Mega Man coming out later this year, it looks like Capcom has finally figured out what to do with its company. It looks like Capcom, after years of being lost in the desert, has finally found its way back home, and they're remembering how to make the games that we love them for in the first place. Except for their damn fighting games, but that's an argument for another day. However, speaking of fighting games, I think you guys all knew this was coming because it's the only game at E3 this year that I literally made an entire video spotlighting. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now, I've been looking at other people's videos talking about their top 10 games of E3, and I've noticed that with all those top 10, people either didn't put Smash Bros. On their list at all, or they put it at number 1 or number 2. I feel like that sums up everybody's relationship with Smash Brothers. Either you're a fan or you're not, but if you are a fan, you're a huge fan, and you were really excited by what they announced. Guess what, guys? I'm a huge fan of Smash Brothers, and I was really excited by what they announced. I know a lot of people criticize Nintendo because, oh, they just had 20 minutes of their entire conference just be giving us patch notes on Smash Bros. I love that. That's what I was waiting on. We all thought that we were just going to get like one new character announced. No, they gave us that. Then they also gave us so much more. So much more that we couldn't even have imagined. Everybody had that list of characters that they wanted to return from the previous games. Little did we know, all of them would be returning. And when they made the announcement, I was like, okay, it's probably just going to be like all the returning characters, which is good. That's really cool. And then Inkling will be the new character, but that's really all we get in terms of new characters. We're not going to get anybody beyond that. And then they come in here and they announce another character at the very end of it and made me realize, how big is this thing going to get? We've already got 60 characters in this game, and you're going to keep giving us characters? But it's not just the size of the roster that got me excited for this game. Although, that was a big part of it, and I do have to say, the fact that they said your starting roster is going to be the same size as the original Smash Bros. Game, so you have to keep unlocking characters, that is the one thing that I keep asking for in fighting games. Don't just give us the complete roster right there and then make every other character DLC. Have us work for these characters. It adds replayability to these games When there's going to be 50 freaking characters that you have to unlock in this game, that's going to be so much replayability. Again, I understand why some people aren't excited about that. I'm incredibly excited about that. But as I said, it's not just the roster that has me excited, but I do feel like at this point, I need to address something that everyone is going to be shouting in the comments, because I have seen it all over Twitter, I've seen it all over every other social media site out there. Everybody is screaming, "Oh, it's just a port! Why are you being happy about this? It's just a port of the last Smash Bros. Game." Okay, sure. First off, that game was on a console that died almost immediately after it came out. It's actually not that bad of a thing to get a port of the previous game. We do deserve to have that game brought back on to the Switch. That actually is a smart idea. However, let me just go ahead and put it out there. This game, yes, it has all the characters and all the stages from that last version of Smash Bros. It also has new characters. It also has every single other character that has ever been in the game before. It also has almost every other stage that has been in the game before. It's also got new stages. It also has 2 different types of stages for every single version of the stage, so that way you have 2 ways to play on every single stage. It's also got new skins for many of the characters. It's also got a brand new category of characters, and we're getting new versions of these characters in that category. It's also got brand new assist trophies. It's got brand new Pokemon. It's got brand new items. It's got brand new Final Smashes, and it has a reworked combat system that was built from the ground up, including patches to previous versions of this game, not just from the last version, but from every version of the game, that actually improves the gameplay overall in a way that many people have been asking for since the very first game. So if that is your definition of a port, then for the love of God, bring on the ports. If this is the future of porting games, then, oh man, the future looks bright. Port over every Nintendo game from the past, because if you can reinvent them and add that much extra content and that much replayability to them and please the fans that much in a port, then holy cow, Nintendo is doing something right. But alright, that is it, everyone. Those are the top 10 games that E3 got me excited for this year. Let me know yours in the comments down below or on Twitter and Twitch at Professor ThorgE. And speaking of Twitch, again, I just have to thank everyone who joined us all week long as we streamed these conferences over at twitch.tv/Professor ThorgE. And if you want to continue joining us on Twitch, just because E3 is over with, that doesn't mean that we're going to stop hanging out over there. We still stream gameplay every single Sunday and Monday, as well as several other times whenever I feel like it throughout the week. So if you ever want to join us for one of those, remember, just join us at twitch.tv/Professor ThorgE. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time.